So one thing that I've noticed is whenever we're giving opinions here on the internet, I've realized that a lot of people don't necessarily know how to show resolve. And that is standing by their convictions and constantly pushing and going with what it is that they believe. Now, the reason I say this is because when I talk about a character like Miles Morales, some people are surprised that I say I think Miles Morales is a token character, but I actually do like him a lot as a Spider Man character, which is almost weird because if you think about the way people approach, Miles Morales, some people are either full gung ho Miles Morales, and in some cases, some people just don't want the character at all. In fact, he's been, categorized as kind of an imposter and all of this and all of that. And I understand both sides because to me, as a neutral, non Spider Man fan, I kind of came in and, I saw the character and I said, I wonder what they're going to do with this character. And I kind of experienced a little bit of his story before even learning about his origins. The thing about it is, if you actually go and look through the history, you'll realize that Miles Morales was created just to kind of showcase a Spider-Man that, highlighted another ethnicity. That's pretty much, what one of its creators kind of alluded to. We can go into that history later on if you guys want to talk about that. But I didn't know about that history. I experienced the character first, and boy, I was already gung-ho. By the time I found out the history, I was like, I don't care if you think he's a token character or not. I just like the way the character is designed. And so when I say that, some people, their minds are blown. They're like, he's not a token character, blah, blah, blah. Can you say something like that? And I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, you can't necessarily change my perspective. Neither can you influence how I actually perceive the character or feel about the character, if you understand what I mean. I mean, obviously, I just said that because of the way I experienced the character, I was already on board and I was already very, very much in tune with how the character was portrayed. Then I saw Into the Spider-Verse and I tagged it as, in my opinion, one of the greatest animated movies that we have seen, second only in my mind anyways to Kung Fu Panda. I know it's weird, it's wild. I like Kung Fu Panda a lot. The movie or the animated movie just highlights so many things that I liked about action comedy, and the cast was actually amazing. But Into the Spider-Verse just goes in my top 5. And behold, it's actually highlighting Miles Morales as well as one of the central characters in that animated movie. Now, why am I even bringing all this stuff up? Spider-Man 2 is coming out. And I'm sure some people are probably wondering, how is Miles going to be portrayed in this game? There are different perspectives as well. You can kind of look at, say, okay, in gameplay, how are we going to see Miles Morales? In the story, how are we going to see Miles Morales? In progression, how are we going to see Miles Morales? And so I want to talk about him today. I want to talk about what I would like to see when I eventually play the game. I know some of you are saying, I thought you said you were going to play the game day one. Stop being a cultist. Stop being a hive-minded human being. I said day one, chill. Some of you are already going out there and making all kinds of funny claims. It's too funny to watch how cute y'all are. Like the person that said that I'm butthurt that my Suicide Squad game is not doing well. Dude, I know what Suicide Squad is going to be, and I know what I'm going to be playing the game for. I'm a Batman fan. I understand that very, very, very well. Much more than a lot of fans, actually, because I remember a lot of fans were telling me that Suicide Squad was going to be this wonderful game and blah, blah. And I told them it's going to be a shooter. I hope you're ready. I hope you can get your guns in place. They thought I was crazy. So you're barking up the wrong tree or whatever the heck it is. But Miles, in my opinion, I think if they're going to tell his story, that from that story perspective, he really has to come in center and, front and center. And he really has to be pivotal for this entire story to work as a collaborative story. Because even some of the greatest superheroes have also had really strong characters come alongside them. Even as a Batman fan, I can admit to you that Batman would throw out all of this tough guy stuff of, oh, I only work alone. What Robin, blah, 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 Barbara. Like he's going to do everything himself. But in reality, he needs a lot of help from his peers and, his family members, even people as, in my opinion, anyways, as pivotal, yet not in the action always as Alfred, are very, very critical characters for him. But if you look at the way Peter has been, portrayed overall, I don't necessarily know if I can say I really did see a very strong ally come alongside him from the very first game. The very first game, he seemed to have just walked this really lonely, road. And I guess that's Spider-Man's thing, or from what I perceive anyways. There was a Mary J thing and all that, she didn't really feel impactful to me. So I would like for Miles to actually feel somewhat impactful in this character as somebody who's coming in as a, someone who's been bestowed with this power to just help, Peter out, because it seems like Venom is going to be really, really tough and challenging to deal with. I also strongly believe that we may be seeing Venom here in, as the big face. And it's funny how they've actually reduced the presentation of Hunter. And so I want to just throw out a guess to say, because of his reduced, appearance in a lot of the, media and all the portrayal in the material, he may become the main villain, or he is the main villain in my mind. And by the way, I haven't seen any spoilers, which is crazy. I usually go seek them out, but I haven't seen any in this case. But I think Miles is going to be, in my opinion, the wild card that Hunter is probably not seeing coming in, and is going to really take him, by surprise. I think that's probably what it is they want to do. It's going to be a blindside where he's so fixated. If you guys remember the gameplay, if you've not watched that gameplay, there is something that happens over something. I think when that something becomes something, Miles Morales is probably, I don't want to spoil it for y'all, because I don't know how much some of you have seen. Miles Morales might be that, secret sauce that, if the writers are prudent with their use of the character, you could see him really, really strong. Another thing too that some have, been concerned about is Peter going to be overshadowed in this game? Now, this is a very interesting question, because I don't necessarily think that that's possible, to make a genuine, or what I would call an authentic Spider-Man, narrative, if you're looking at the story perspective, because a lot of these villains, and this is where Miles has, received a lot of heavy criticism. A lot of the villains that we're seeing here in this game, are Peter villains. They are, Peter Parker villains. And Miles is just right now in this universe kind of being, introduced into the story, and they just happen to be neighbors. They live in the same city. So I'm not against that. In fact, I'm all for that it makes sense that the villains who have already been troubling the city that Peter had already been dealing with over the years be somewhat adopted as, Miles's villains. I mean, if Miles was like a Spider-Man that was in a whole different geographical location, then okay, we could say, sure, his villains ought to be different. But no, these are now going to be his, de facto villains, as long as they continue to be a menace. And so I don't think that can actually be a thing, because, because they are Peter villains, there has to be the real context put behind the character, so that, it makes sense when Miles is engaging with them. In fact, from this clip that you're watching here from Spider-Man Miles Morales, you already see that they're actually doing it, right? It's Peter kind of bringing Miles along on some kind of a, mission of some sort, but then Rhino escapes. So there's Peter in the scene, and Miles is actually coming in, seemingly wanting to start to fill, the shoes of a protege in a sense. So that's how you do it. Insomniac's writers seem to be able to pull that off. So if they're taking any, in my opinion, if they're following what it is that they've already done in the past games, I strongly believe that they're going to go ahead and do that. Now, however, Miles Morales' game highlighted Miles more because it was his game. So Marvel Spider-Man 2 is Peter's game for the most part. And Miles is going to play the protege. So I want to see how they're prudently going to do that. In my opinion, if they, like I said, if they follow suit, then things are probably going to, make sense for a lot of Spider-Man fans. But it's going to be interesting to see, as to how all of this pans out, how all this really, really comes into perspective, because I'm curious as to you guys' perspective of Miles in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Tell me, what are your concerns, if you have any? What are your, what makes you excited, and what are your opinions about the character so far as portrayed in Insomniac Spider-Man stories? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.